Hey everybody, it's Dev, 1/5 of AYR recording. Don't forget, if you enjoy this stuff, to like, comment, and subscribe. We also have a Facebook. You'll find us at facebook.com/Yall recording and on Twitter at Yall recording. Don't forget, like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.
That I got the chance to play RE2, and I'm trying to get Devin to make an account so I can play it again.
Hey, you just trying to cheat the system. Don't
No.
use me so you can play another 30 minutes of big ass demo. That's all you're doing.
It's really pretty though, Devin.
It is really pretty. You sent me that picture, but no.
You guys, I weirdly got into Pokemon Go this past week.
Same here. High five.
Listen,
Oh.
I just opened up the app a week ago, and I just evolved my Charmander today to a Charmeleon. So
Is yours a shiny though?
no, it's
Mine's a
not.
shiny.
I don't have any shiny. I have a lot of dark Rattatas.
Wait. You can do
You have what?
Dark Rattatas.
Oh, those are the
wait,
old
wait a
ones,
minute. You can do that now?
What?
Yeah,
The
it's like
whole
all the
shiny thing?
new Pokemon.
Yeah, you wanna see my
things that
shiny?
You can do.
No, I don't want to look at your shiny.
Damn.
I want to look at your shiny.
Because
Hold on, let me pull it up real quick.
I just re-downloaded it like a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
And the only time I really get to play is at work. Because it's if I'm running between places, I'll open up my phone, catch something real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I'm out of Pokeballs, by the way, because I'm rusty.
Don't worry. I'm like I've never had a Pokeball. All I have is Great Balls.
Y'all, so I have this walking trail that I take almost every day. Oh, little shiny Charmeleon.
Yeah, he's like a slightly different pigment than a regular Charmeleon.
Yeah, I was about to say he's just kind of the one that has been out in the sun very much.
He has vitamin D. He's vitamin D deficient.
No, there you go.
He doesn't have enough vitamin D.
I have my buddy is a Rapidash. I just evolved him today too, and I was very excited about it. So,
See, I'm kind of sad because I have a Squirtle.
What you were sad about?
I was
evolving?
excited about it.
Oh, you said you were sad
Listen,
about it.
I got up this morning and my egg hatched and it was a Ponyta, and I was like, I have enough little candies to evolve my Ponyta.
Hey, if you ever
to
want to
Rapidash.
send any of your, do you have any EVs that you want to send to a blender?
No.
Send them my way.
No, I kill all my EVs to to get my Perion stronger.
Ouch.
I damn it. I don't have enough EV candies
Yeah, that's
to evolve my EV.
There's not enough EV candies to go around,
It's
bud,
just
so.
the game has grown and
Also, I like the
changed
fact
so
that
much.
just sending an EV is just basically putting them in a blender and then turning it on.
Yeah, and then
to
turning
get the
it into
candy. Yeah.
and feeding it
Yeah,
to the
feeding
other
it
ones.
to the other ones.
That is terrible.
How do you think I got my Charmeleon?
Yeah.
My shiny Charmeleon.
So I want
And
my.
he was the
I hatched a
shiny, so-
Charmander today, so
Huh?
I hatched a Charmander. That's why I got my Charmeleon.
Oh,
You gotta be the breeder or the blender. So that's
See, the thing is,
I don't
he was
know.
a shiny, so he was extra special.
I
So I had to have him survive.
That's
So
true.
every other one got sent to the blender.
don't know if I want to play this anymore. I think I'll just wait for that Wizarding game to come out. I don't want to do
Oh
this
yeah, I
anymore.
deleted my. Okay, so when I deleted my Facebook, I also deleted my Harry Potter app game. I didn't realize that they were one and the same thing. So I got on there and I was about to go to potions class, and then I got on there and there's like this new person on there. And I was like, who's this bitch? And I was like, oh wait, I have to restart completely. All right, fuck you, Facebook. This is the last straw. So yeah. it was-
Anyway.
yeah.
Well, welcome back to another
That's why-
episode.
that's
That's why you
I
have.
let it
That's why you
Pokemon
have the
go.
cold opening.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, well, welcome back to another episode of AYR recording. So this really big thing that's been on my mind for a while is got me thinking. Because I'm geek from birth, like most of us, right?
Yeah.
So, is our culture the very thing that we enjoyed growing up? From comics, games, anime, all that stuff. Is that culture now the new cool? And if that is, why is that the case now when it could have been 20, 30 years ago?
Yeah. Well, video games have always been like kind of like on the back burner. Like everyone did it, type thing. Everyone spent time playing video
But at the
games.
same time, I think too, there's also that idea of like if someone played video games when they were no longer a child, they were weird. I just saw this video of this woman asking this girl was like, oh, my boyfriend plays that, and she goes, he's an adult and he plays this game, and it's just kind of like there used to also be that kind of, it's a childish thing to do.
Yeah,
right?
I suppose so.
Yeah, but I mean at the same time too, like, yeah, that's always been kind of cool. But I think, I don't know, like, I remember getting teased a lot because I was into, like, Monty Python and, Lord of the Rings and things like that growing up, but...
At work, I get called boring because I don't like the comedians that we have, like Will Ferrell. I don't really care for their actors and stuff like that, but I like Monty Python and Mel Brooks, and they're like, really? That's fucking stupid.
No, so here's the thing. I think with stuff like Monty Python and stuff like that, that's a taste thing. But I'm talking about the stuff that was traditionally a geeky thing.
Why Comic-Con is so packed now?
Oh, sweet Christmas.
It's because of those cosplayer women that do that for
the booth babes.
Have you ever seen just like a group of Princess Leia's in the golden bikini just walking around? That will convert anybody.
Listen, you know what? I want to go to Comic-Con too.
Oh, what is that walking by me?
Really.
And then like they go there expecting nothing but that, and then
Yeah.
they see like the Deadpools with like super skin tight thing, and you can see their junk just hanging out.
I will never forget a few years back at Comic-Con where we saw a guy, skinny guy, dressed as Deadpool, but he decided not to wear anything to cover up his junk.
Oh yeah, no, I remember that.
And you can't help but look down. You
Yeah.
don't want to, but it's like
It just attracts the eyes, like with the suit, the way it like pulls in that direction. It's just like
it's all about lines. It's all about lines at the end of the day. But no, with the geek stuff, I mean, I think from my perspective, it's a generational thing. Whereas, yeah, we were getting picked on growing up for liking these things, but now as adults, everyone's becoming a little bit nostalgic. The millennials, we've become nostalgic for the things that we had. So those things that we enjoyed as a kid and still enjoy as adults, those adults who picked on us, try to enjoy them now more than they did when they were kids.
Yeah, and I think too, like, so I think that there's also been a cracking down on bullying since we left school, and so I think there's also kind of that, hey, well, I mean, in general with kind of like all kind of interests in life and stuff, it's kind of been like, hey, people are, you do you kind of thing, and so it's just like there's been less of a stigma on anything nowadays, and so it's just kind of like, is it the geek culture itself, or is it just people are kind of being more cool about it? But I think too, there does seem to be, it does also seem to be like there's less of people just going, okay, you do you, and going like, oh, that sounds interesting. Because like, for instance, I have a D&D group, and I was the only person in that group that played D&D like when I was a kid, and so they kind of never would have thought in a million years that they would play D&D, but then I was like, but listen, it's amazing, and here's why, and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, I got that, and so now they play it, but they never would have, as kids or anything, because I would have been like, no, I'd be a geek, I'd be weird.
Yeah.
So
It was always frowned upon.
yeah.
So it's just, our culture has become widely acceptable.
Yeah,
Well, I think it
it's
also
part
has
of
to do a lot with the Marvel movies.
Mm.
Everyone,
yeah,
like,
superheroes becoming mainstream.
yeah, like the Marvel movies have, actually, I don't know how to phrase this.
Popularized.
Popularized, superheroes and everything, and everyone goes, huh, I never actually thought about it like that. And then they go and they see something, oh, hey, I recognize that from the movie, and they pick it up and say, oh, this is way different from the movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's I actually
And they
believe
might
that.
get intrigued by it.
Because it was the movies that was getting folks who weren't into this material into the comic shops.
Mm-hmm.
And you go into the comic shops and you get exposed to other things, because a comic shop is never just a comic book store anymore. There's comics, pops, and games, and
Anime.
yeah, anime, manga, stuff like that, and it's all there for you now. And I guess the movies could have been a gateway.
It was pretty much the turning point of popularizing and making geeks no longer the nerds,
The outcasts.
the outcasts. You know what I mean? Right?
So you're saying we have Robert Downey Jr. to thank for this?
Yes.
So
Thank you,
I
Iron
think
Man.
that there's some nuance to this, because I think that there's people that they're into superheroes now. Maybe they'll go into a comic book shop, but I don't think that there's that same passion there. I think that there's still, like, for instance, for me versus my friends, and so I've gotten Forrest to this level, but I haven't really gotten any of my friends to this level. We will go into like a comic book store, and we will buy little D&D figurines. We will buy like gaming mats and things like that. So we're at this other level of, you know, wanting to kind of this be part of our life versus just kind of like something like we enjoy doing every other Saturday or something like that. So I think that there's kind of there's more of a blend now. It used to kind of be all or nothing, but now there's people who they can be interested in it to a certain extent of nerd culture, you know? So, because like there's people that like play like video games that, you know, have been going back, like for instance, Breath of the Wild, the Zelda game. Like people are like, I'm super into Zelda. They've only played that game, and they're justified in saying that because
It's,
you know,
yeah, it's also like, you know, I'm super into Zelda, but the only game that they've actually played is Ocarina of Time.
yeah. So I mean, but the thing is too is that you have to accept that if they're super into Zelda, it's because of that game. That's fine. I'm not gonna be hipster about it and be like, oh, well, if you haven't played all the games, then you're not a true Zelda.
You haven't
and you know
played A Link to the Past.
Oh, you haven't beat the first Link
And then
game?
you push up your glasses.
What? Like,
And I feel like, you know, us being those geeks, we're not the type to push somebody out because they're just into it just now or for something that happened recently. But there is a group out there that is so exclusive that they can't help themselves. It's like, oh, you're only into it now because it's popular, you know. And I'm speaking.
It's like, why does that bother you?
Yeah.
Because it's popular, it makes me into it. Aren't you just glad to have me on your side?
It's like a new possible friend that you're shutting down.
yeah.
No, fuck you. I don't. You can't be friends. You didn't like it when I liked it. I liked it before it was popular.
Why you got the Donald Trump face?
Well, fuck you. All right. That's why.
Well, it's like when the movie Bohemian Rhapsody came out, and people are like, "Oh, we actually like really love Queen. We just didn't know their songs." It's like, "Oh, well, now you like Queen because that movie came out." And it's like, "Well, yeah, that's okay though."
I actually started listening to Queen a lot after I watched JoJo. So
yeah.
Well, but
it has nothing. I've never actually watched the movie.
That's kind of, but with stuff like that, that's kind of the point, is to expose a particular group to something that they've never been exposed to before. I'll speak from my own perspective. Growing up where I grew up, the first 10, 11 years of my life, all you ever hear is hip hop and old gospel. It wasn't until I moved to DeSoto and got exposed to pop and rock and stuff like that. And I think rock, thanks to Guitar Hero, that, you know, my yeah, I'm not ashamed.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
But I grew up, and it opened my mind to so many different things than what my culture expects of me to know. It makes me a little weirder to the folks in my culture, but I'm fine with that, you know, because I'm a geek to the day I die.
Yeah, but there's also like, you are like, if you're like the black sheep, you're gonna just fully embrace it. You don't care about anything.
Yeah, that's true.
Where most people are just like, oh no, I'm the black sheep of my family or whatever, and you is just like, no, so.
See, that's how I used
Fight
to
me.
feel, because like, so like my mom's side of the family is like, so you think of like a middle class white family. That is my mom's side of the family. Like any movie middle class white family, it's just like they're like, what's Dungeons and Dragons? Does that involve demons? Are you gonna go to hell? You know, but like,
Yes.
So it's like probably, but probably not because of D&D. So,
Are you
like,
gonna go to hell? Probably. I don't know. Maybe.
So like
I hope
this
not.
Christmas, I got this really nice purse, but it happened to have Ravenclaw on it. It was like a really fancy, like, but it is, so they're like, the Ravenclaw sigil is on it, and they're like, why though? And I was like, but look at how cute this purse is.
But
and I'm
why
a Ravenclaw.
though? Because fuck you. That's why.
Because I'm a Ravenclaw.
My whole living room has Ravenclaw stuff scattered across it. Like, I'm more proud of that than I am my actual alma mater. So. But, you know, it's just kind of like, yeah, that I know that feeling of just like, you know, the black sheep. But it's like one of those things is that if you can kind of get past the feeling of like, oh, I'm the black sheep to, oh, I'm the black sheep. That's, yeah. So that's a pretty great place to be.
That's why, you know, I feel like, you know, my motto, and I'll probably be using it for everything soon, rock your geek every day of the week.
Oh, nice. I like that. Dude, that's like a, you should put that on a wall somewhere.
Yeah, that
Wake up
is,
every morning just to look at that and go, I will.
I will, Wall. I will.
Thank you. And then you high five it.
Yeah.
Just high five. Yeah.
Sneak kiss.
And so it's like one of those things whenever, like a football team's walking out of the locker room, they up slap the logo that's above the door. It's like that.
But
Except, you're a geek.
Except for you can't do sports.
Have you seen Phil try to catch a football?
Well, I can catch a football. I just can't throw one.
But
They'll do like this.
For the listeners, he just did a spiral and with his fingers, so
No, it wasn't a spiral at all.
it looked like a spiraling
it
move.
was a special spiral.
It was a special
So
spiral.
it rode the short bus.
Yeah, okay.
But I was just curious because it was something that was on my mind.
Caitlin, I'm sorry. Did you say for the audio listeners? Who said that?
I said for the listeners.
Oh, I thought you said for the audio listeners. I was like,
It's like, are there visual listeners? I'm confused.
who's watching?
I might have said audio listeners. Listen, okay, I've realized since having someone kind of around me all the time, i.e. my husband, he's noticed that I'll say things like my feet shoes, and I just I don't know why I have to emphasize things.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so if you ever hear me overemphasize anything, that's just me. That's just what I do.
Feet shoes.
Feet shoes.
That's the word of the day, kids. Feet shoes.
It might not have been that exactly, but it was something like it.
I'm pretty sure she was.
Oh no, it was okay. I remember what it was. It was brain thoughts. That's what I said. Because I was trying to say not thoughts that you come out of your mouth, but just thoughts that you hold in your head.
internal monologue.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so
not those audio thoughts, but those brain
you guys,
thoughts.
for the audio listeners listening.
Oh, Christ
I am
almighty.
an English major, and I'm only good with words on paper, not through my mouth.
Speaking is hard.
Yeah, speaking is very
I
hard.
need to wipe my eyes. I'm crying.
You gonna be all right over there, Phil?
Oh no, it's too beautiful.
Alright,
Everything is as it should be.
Oh Christ.
so Geek Culture.
I'm sorry. That fucking killed me.
You stopped the whole thing.
Well, I'm pretty sure that's what he said, but I might have been wrong. But
I
that's
don't
what
know.
I heard.
It is now recorded, so we can always go back and find out.
It is true. Sorry I derailed. Sorry I derailed that.
It was really my fault.
No, I'm pretty sure it was mine.
So what about you, Phil?
Oh, my ribs hurt now.
Besides brain thoughts.
I wouldn't say that I was ever the black sheep of the family, because the reason why I got into gaming the way I did is because my dad had a PlayStation 1, and he played Tomb Raider, and I would sit on the couch watching him play Tomb Raider, and we had a bunch of demo discs.
Oh, you remember demo discs?
Yeah. We had a bunch of demo discs. We had a bunch of Final Fantasy 7, the original Final Fantasy 7.
The remake is already out.
Yeah. Well, it's almost. I saw something the other day about it. But
We're not talking about. No, that's on the list of what Phil was just talking about for 15 minutes.
No, shut it down! Shut it down!
We are not talking about Final Fantasy. We'll be here for another hour.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why I got into gaming the way that I did is because, Dad had the PlayStation hooked up to the TV out in the living room, and I would go out there and I would watch him play Final Fantasy 7 or Tomb Raider or anything, and then every once in a while I'm like, hey, can I try that? And he'd be like, sure. So I'll go out there and I'll try it, and I was like, oh, this is really fun. Obviously I didn't know what I was doing. I was 4?
I think it was easier for you because you had older siblings who were, especially with Maya, she was into the nerdy stuff anyway, so you're being
but it
exposed
wasn't really prominent. She watched Sailor Moon, but whenever outside of her room, we weren't allowed into her room. We were not allowed into her room. You walk in there and she'd yell at you to get out.
like she still does.
It's not as bad as it used to be.
That's better than having an older brother who is quite literally a jock. He was into some nerdy things, but it was way overshadowed by his athletic ability and his popularity, and I was just this nerdy little sister following him around.
I think that would be your dad's fault though,
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, but he definitely like got into the jock culture. My dad was always kind of more of like the, you know, the quiet, brooding type than my brother was. So,
Oh,
but,
okay.
yeah, but yeah, so it's kind of
So yeah, like Maya, she would watch Sailor Moon, but she would like deny its existence
She
outside
didn't,
of her.
I'll tell you right now, she didn't deny it at school. When we were growing up, she didn't.
Well, maybe not to you, but like to her cool friends.
Oh. Oh.
Devin,
Guess
wait,
who's getting her ass kicked at the end of this episode?
you can try.
I win.
You'll have to
I'll
catch me
hold him down.
Ah, shit. No,
I
but
got
like,
the speed, you got the strength. We'll get him.
but I mean, to be honest, we weren't cool in school.
No, we weren't.
That's the whole point of this conversation.
Yeah.
Like, to her cool friends, like she wouldn't talk about Sailor Moon, or
Oh,
she has
yeah. I
the
think
VHSs of like the Sailor Moon movies. Or
Maya was
whatever.
very popular.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember like kind of just being like, oh, there's a popular girl. I shouldn't talk to her because she'll think I'm a nerd, you know, because she had
Yeah.
a lot of friends and like she had a very cool air about her.
Right.
So
I
yeah.
think Maya's just that type. She can make friends with anybody. That's why she had us nerdy friends off to one side.
Yeah.
And all the cool friends off
And
to
it's
the
only
other side.
until recently, not too recently, but until recently, she kind of like deviated from, you know, having that being over here with like the popular kids, you know, like, you know, let me go hang out with these people over here that are much more fun and much more fun to be around.
Folks who are actually cool.
Yeah. Us.
Yeah. Now is
Her
it
younger brother.
Now, is it that geeks are becoming cool, or is there just enough geeks around to be like, yeah, we're cool guys?
I think it's
We're
a bit.
cool.
I think it's a bit of both because I have been fortunate to notice that I can bring out the geek in almost anybody.
Mhm.
You give me enough time, yeah, I'll bring it out of you. But you know, it also may have to, and I don't go promoting saying, you know, being a geek like me is the coolest thing ever because you never know what you're gonna need me for. I got all the information. It's not something that I go advertising. So if somebody thinks I'm cool because of the things that I enjoy, that's just happenstance. You know, it just happened that way. It's not something that I promoted saying, hey, being a geek is cool.
So you want to know something that was very interesting to me when I got like my senior year of high school to like my early years of college is that I realized, so this is going to be kind of an awkward thing to talk about, but like guys were more interested in me because I was into video games and, you know, other like really nerdy things, because I think there's, especially with women, is that, or young girls, is that, you know, it's really uncool to be a geek, and so like guys won't like you and like everything else like that. And so then when I realized that guys wanted to hang out with me because I was geeky, that was a very interesting thing for me. And so it was kind of like, you know, the whole life I was like, oh, I'm such a nerd, everyone's gonna think I'm just like the worst and like no one's ever gonna date me. And then all the guys are like, hey, you wanna like come over and hang out, we can play some video games, you play Mario Kart, you like Mario Kart? Like, yeah, I love Mario Kart. They're like, oh, I thought you did, that's awesome. So, you know, just kind of, I think that was kind of an interesting thing for me too, is that, you know,
made a brand new discovery that no one else
I
made.
did, and I was
Okay.
like, haha, you bitches don't even know, get on my level. Like,
So I have this question. I don't want it to deviate because that's an episode for another time.
Deviation, yes.
Is being a geek girl something that you ever had to have issues with, you know, as an adult? Because I know, you know, the community, they want to test girls like you.
yeah,
Oh,
so
you're not a true fan because you're only
Exactly.
you know, into it because of this or
So
whatever.
anytime I met like a guy that I didn't really know very well, and you know, it was especially like, okay, so I was on Tinder for 3 months, and
I hope it's not recently.
no, this is pre husband time in my life.
Pre-Forest.
Pre-Forest.
That is another episode.
But the thing is that anytime I said I was interested in anything, they would have to quiz me on it to make sure I was really into it. They thought that I was just like, so I'd say like, oh, I'm really into classic literature. They're like, oh yeah, did you read Frost? What about this? What do you know about that? And it's just like, you know, there's more than just one person. Like there's other things, and so it'd always be kind of like, oh, you like Mass Effect? Okay, well, what's this one character in the second game when they did this, and what happened with that? And it was always just like,
I'm
what?
done here.
Like,
But
yeah,
then you
exactly.
should stand
so,
up and
yeah,
leave.
so I'd always end up going like, okay, one, you're always going to be single for the rest of your life if you do this shit too. And I would kind of like lay out just kind of like why what they're doing was idiotic, and then I would block them. But yeah, it was kind of I've always been under questioning about whether or not
You're like under constant interrogation.
Exactly, like whether I'm actually a fan or if I'm just trying to like when girls go, oh, I love hiking, and they don't like hiking or whatever.
Oh, I love hiking. Oh, I gotta stand up and go over there.
Yeah,
Shit.
Exactly. So it's kind of like, no, like I will sit and I will play Mass Effect for 15 hours if I could, and I would just get up to use the restroom. Like it's like I am interested in these things, but it never seemed like I could defend myself enough.
Okay.
So
I was only curious because I know that that's an important part of geek culture. Is we have this issue with and I because it was something that we enjoyed growing up, that we have all the rights to it, and that no one is allowed in, and it's always, it sounds bad, white guys, dirty white guys.
Oh man.
Who push this thing? So when they hear that a girl is into it, or a black guy is a nerd, it's like this, like we're unicorns or something.
it's like, oh, you've only been like a nerd for like what, like 2 months? I've been a nerd since I was like 3 years old, and it's like, okay, like, so
Oh, is that why you act like that? Okay.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of the kind of pretentiousness that white males like to bring to the table.
That sounds bad. But
Seeing as I'm half of one, yes, I know.
I'm only saying it because these are the things that you worry about with our culture. Is like, if anything, we should be more understanding and be more willing to let folks into our culture, because we felt that feeling of loneliness for liking what we like, enjoying what we enjoy. So why are we pushing people away because they're just now enjoying it too?
It's because of the way we were treated back then. Now, whenever like we were being bullied and everything in school, now the bullies are like, oh man, this is really cool. You don't want that person to be a part of your life,
So
because
it's like we've paid our dues basically.
Yeah.
So we don't want.
I took my beatings. Where's yours?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think too that there for women, there's also that kind of gamer girl thing where she's like chewing on the controller. Have you seen those
Yes.
things? Like, I'm the gamer girl, and she like has a controller in her mouth.
One of my favorite things is like I think that was like on a Reddit post or something like that. But like the thread was a bunch of images after that of people like basically just biting into their phones or into their DS.
So
There's that one guy dressed up with candles, fork and knife with his Wii, just cutting it in half.
But see, I feel like folks like that who aren't doing it genuinely are reasons why female gamers or female nerds, or nerds that are of different different races or whatever, are
Different genders, races.
questioned and not necessarily looked down upon, but it's like, dude, this is not exclusive to you. You are not the only one who's been dealing with this their entire life.
Yeah, because okay, so this is kind of going on a weird kind of loop around, but so after watching the newest Spider-Man movie, it's Into the Spider-Verse, or
Into the Spider-Verse, and it's awesome if you have not seen it.
Honestly, masterpiece, like best movie I've seen in a very long time.
Made Maya cry.
Yeah, it made me cry too. Like it was just,
I had moments because it was so beautiful. But
yeah, it was great. But I think the thing of it, the biggest message that I took away from it is that when Peter Parker was originally made, when Spider-Man was originally made, Peter Parker, the blonde hair, blue-eyed white man, was the standard American. He was the average neighborhood guy. And now Miles is. And we're actually starting to accept that. Like the new Spider-Man in the movie.
Better Spider-Man.
The better Spider-Man. He is, urban black boy that, he's going to grow up in New York, Brooklyn, and that is who the modern American is. And now we're actually seeing that in nerd culture. We're seeing that, the first big one was Black Panther. Of course, there's been others in like, I forget, what was the lightning guy? Which one?
The lightning guy?
Static?
Static. Yeah. So there's Static first. I don't know. I never watched the show because I didn't have that channel growing up.
I was asked.
Have 33.
I didn't have 33. I had 13, 11, and 8.
Anyway, let me ask you this. After watching, I'm going to deviate here for a second. After watching Into the Spider-Verse, did you wait until at the end of the credits?
We watched through the credits, with all the different artwork and stuff, yeah.
I'm like at the very end of the credits.
No, we didn't stay until the very end.
Because 2099 showed up.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, Spider-Man's wearing that.
Okay, yeah. So.
And then he went back to
the 60s cartoon.
Yeah, where they're just pointing at each other.
Oh.
Okay, it was that exact scene.
That's awesome. I could probably find that on the internet somewhere. But yeah, so basically, what I was trying to say is that, now it's being more accepted. I mean, and then now we have Captain Marvel, who's a woman. So now it's being more accepted that it's not just white guys, doing all the superhero comic book stuff. It is the average American that is white, black, Hispanic,
just
mixed,
some random guy
anyone just
by happen chance got bit by a spider.
And exactly. And that was the kind of whole thing about Spider-Man to begin with, was that it could have been anybody. And so now,
in fact, in Spider-Gwen's case, Spider-Gwen, in her universe, she was bit because she was in the right place at the right time, or wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, and so, but it's always been, for all the different variations of Peter Parker, it's always been a white guy, usually with blonde hair, and just kind of that, 1950s kind of ideal American kind of thing. And so now it's, we're starting to deviate from everyone is part of this culture. So, yeah.
I think we have to stick to that point. We'll grow and be better for it if we can just be more accepting and let those folks, even if they're new to the game, go ahead and let them in. Why not? I mean, it's interesting to see folks get exposed to what we've always known for the first time, because there's a childlike innocence to it and a brightness in their eyes, because it's like, I didn't know this stuff was this cool. Okay, let me show you why it's cooler.
Yeah.
Right.
At least that's the way I am.
So I want to talk for a minute about the most aggressive fandom in the past few years, and that's Star Wars. So because with the newest movies coming out, of course, I didn't like Solo for various reasons, mainly the actor. But anyway,
I didn't hate it.
I never watched it.
Okay, because so he wasn't Han Solo. No, I will not.
What about Lando? Did you like Lando?
I love that actor. So yes.
It was good. It was good enough just for that. Trust me.
Yeah. And that's the one reason why I wanted to watch it.
No, he takes the same tone as Billy D. Williams, and it's funny at first.
Well, the thing is that
it works.
I watched an interview with him, Childish Gambino, and he said that
we don't even use his real name anymore.
Mainly because I can't. I always get the two mixed up.
Donald Glover
and Danny Glover.
Okay, you were saying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, right?
Yeah. Donald Glover.
So, which one is it, Donald or Danny?
Donald.
It's Donald. Okay, Donald Glover. He did an interview where he's basically said that, I took inspiration. I went back and watched all of the scenes with Lando in it to get the personality down, and then he went to I think he said a thrift shop to get the dress down as best as he could.
I would say watch Solo just for.
Yeah, I wish that they made a Cloud City one, how
it's all Lando, because he's
Isn't
so
Cloud
charming.
City a mining company?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like he's so charming and so cool. He's got the slickest tongue, and he could get away with whatever he wanted to get away with just because he was that good.
Man, I just wanted to see he was only maybe a fourth of that movie. I wanted to see all of him and just take out Solo, just get rid of that guy. But but then I think the thing about that one was too is that it was oh my gosh, he wore capes in the movie, so we have to give him a closet full of capes. Oh, Solo used that gun the whole 3 movies. Here's his gun, here's his gun, here's his gun, here's his gun. Look at the gun. And it was just kind of okay,
he's not allowed to use anything else other than that gun.
Yeah, it was just
except for the fact in episode 7 he actually used the Chewie's bowcaster.
Yeah, so it's just kind of there's some things I didn't like about it, but at the same time is that there's a lot of new generation of fans that are coming following Rey's story instead of Luke's story, or we were raised on we were raised on Anakin, and so it was just kind of like we I think it was we were kind of in middle school when the prequel trilogy came out, but like if I was a little kid and I liked Jar Jar when I was in 6th grade, people were like, "Oh, you like Jar Jar blah," and it's like, "Well, I don't like him now because he's a doofus." But like, I was a kid, and so they're just like they're attacking this new generation of
Star Wars, and that's not fair. But you're right, Star Wars fans. That's the community is hard. That they take that stuff seriously. Like Trekkers, they take their stuff seriously. And I feel, but then again, I'm pretty open for anybody. So I feel if you're going to accept somebody new into a fandom, we got a generation of kids who were raised on Rey, and that's fine. But let me show you what led up to Rey. Yeah. Teach them. That's the point. It's like you enjoy being a part of this fandom. You want to be a part of this fandom. Be a better
mentor,
ambassador.
Well, and stop bullying nerds. Stop bullying other nerds. Like that's the biggest thing.
It's self-hate, okay?
Yeah, it's just kind of like you can't hate someone and treat them the same way that you were treated as a kid for liking. Like, for instance, if I were to say, "Oh, well, Swallow is like stupid." Have you seen the memes for him where he's like, okay, Ben Swallow,
Ben Swallow,
yeah. But if I hate kids for like not liking, what's his actual name in the movies? Shoot, Ben Solo, whatever.
Yeah, Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren, thank you. But like, if I hated them for that, and then but I liked Jar Jar when I was a kid, and people made fun of me for that. Jar Jar's worse. Okay, but I don't know. So
I just feel like when it comes to any type of fandom, if there's someone who's new to this and they have a desire to want to be a part of this community, then we, as the experienced,
should be more open to letting them in.
Yeah, as the masters, per se, we should let them in.
I'm not a master of anything. Don't ever put me in that category ever again.
But we should be willing to teach them and let them come into it and flow into it naturally, as opposed to pushing them off for liking that one bad thing that we thought was bad.
Right.
Yes, I'm gonna bring my children into the living room one time when they're about 10 or 11 years old and be like, "Okay, children,
for the next 3 days,
let me dust off before the apocalypse of Disney came with
the apocalypse of Disney."
Yeah,
wait, are they
destroying the canon of Star Wars? Let me show you all the
Here is Clone Wars. Was it Clone Wars?
Clone Wars, yeah. But let me boot up Knights of the Old Republic and we can play it on our crappy PC. So,
why does it have to be on a bad PC?
Because I have mine on the new PC and it's broken.
Well, I mean, there's ways that you can fix that.
Okay, I have no idea how to fix that.
Well, you had Knights of the Old Republic on the original Xbox, did you not, at one point?
I don't have the original Xbox anymore.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
Never mind. We can actually go to a place in Arlington called Game Over. You can get a pretty decent original Xbox.
For how much? That's the question.
I'm pretty sure probably not real cheap.
Okay. If it's less than 50, I'll take it.
Oh, it's probably not less than 50.
Okay, that's the thing.
Maybe like 50 more.
Oh, okay. That's not too bad.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
Yeah. Plus, you get all the original Xbox games.
But I think the biggest thing is just we have to be willing to let the new people in. Why not? It's our community, but still, I mean, why not let it grow?
Well, listen, that's the thing. It's not really ours anyways. Like, it's what we get to be a part of it. And I think that's the thing, like the Star Wars fans, it's like, it's not your thing. You didn't make this stuff. I mean, of course, fans have had a lot of influence on Star Wars and the canon and everything that of course, is all gone out the window. But, I think it's like, the thing is, too, is that they're like, oh, this is mine, I'm not going to share it with you, because you're new, and you like the new stuff, or you don't get it, because you weren't there when it first came out. And so, but it's just like, no, we get to be a part of these things. Like, I have this friend, okay, so she is like the light in my life, just kind of reminding me how good things can be, because she like was telling me, she was just excited one day, and she's like, I just realized how many fandoms are out there that I haven't even discovered yet. And I'm so excited to discover them.
We need more people like that.
Yeah,
I know.
I need to meet this person.
I know. I was just like, you're my soulmate, please. Like, you know. So it was just like, and it was a kind of realization of like, oh yeah, like, you know, there's things that we've been into since we were like little bitty. Like, you know, again with the Breath of the Wild, I've been into Legend of Zelda since I had a Super Nintendo and was playing like whichever one it was.
Link to the Past.
Link to the Past. And so I've played all the games up until that point, except for Spirit Tracks because I don't want it. Anyways,
Even Skyward Sword.
Yeah, Skyward Sword. I didn't finish that one because I don't have my own Wii, but yeah, and so, but I'm not going to get mad at them for that because there's might be things that I haven't discovered yet. Like, I still haven't played God of War. I want to get into that at some point. So,
well,
yeah.
I haven't played the original God of Wars, but the new one is
Those older ones are epic, I'm telling you already, especially God of
Well,
War
like,
3.
God of War 3 starts off with you fighting Poseidon and then ripping him in two.
Trying to climb to Mount Olympus. It is the most hardcore thing.
It's actually, you start on a Titan climbing Mount Olympus to fight Poseidon.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So that's the thing. Like, there's things that I still haven't played Red Dead Redemption. I haven't like gotten into. I mean.
Yeah.
Have you seen?
I'm not gonna lie. Because of Red Dead Redemption, I can handle westerns. I played that game from beginning to end, and I never thought I would enjoy a western.
Have you ever thought about watching Westworld?
I don't enjoy westerns that much.
Okay. I was gonna ask, have you had the chance to watch Netflix's Castlevania?
He's trying to push that on everyone.
I'm trying to.
I didn't even know that it came out yet.
It's the first season's only 4 episodes, which is like the starter of everything.
Have you watched Voltron?
Actually,
I keep hearing Voltron's.
Actually, my nephew came over one day. My mom was in the living room, and I was getting ready for work.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just woke up to start getting ready for work, and I walked out, and they were watching the new Voltron, and I was like, I'm gonna sit down for a second. I have to be at work in like 30 minutes, but I'm gonna sit here for a second.
Yeah, my friend like kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. Finally, I sat down and I watched it. And I didn't like the first season or so because it was kind of like here's the bad guy. Let's figure out how to turn into Voltron. Oh, for Voltron, we win. But like after like the first season, it was just like it was gripping. Like, you need to watch it because it was just like, damn. Anyways,
that's the thing. You can't let Phil get attached to things because he gets attached to things, and when things go bad, he starts to hurt.
Oh yeah, no, you shouldn't watch it then.
No, I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm
You just watch up until the last episode. Then you'll be just fine.
I'm pretty sure someone dies, but okay.
You'll be just fine.
There are shows I haven't finished because I don't want the show to end. Like, I never
Then you're not a real anime fan. You need to get out.
Yeah, how do you even know if it was
how do you know
good?
if they didn't win? How do you know that Deus Ex Machina is
like they revealed the biggest part of
I
themselves?
don't know why my tongue's not working.
And it's because of, excuse my language, because of fuckers like that.
Well, one of my favorite animes, Full Metal Alchemist, like not Brotherhood, but like the original, like that didn't end well.
Yeah.
So I guess I should rephrase it when I say we should be willing to let folks in more to the things that we also enjoy.
Yeah, you should. You should be.
Not necessarily that it's out.
You should be doing what I'm doing right now.
Because you have a healthy idea of our community, but like the thing is that there's a lot of people when they say our community, they're like, it's exclusive.
Yeah.
Like, so
it's an exclusive club.
Yeah.
And I don't believe in exclusivity. I just don't.
Yeah.
We the community should be more like along the lines of what I was trying to do just now. Watch Castlevania. It's pretty good, and the director actually got a new thing for Devil May Cry, which I'm excited for. Watch Brotherhood. Watch
Ruby. No one ever watches Ruby, and I can't ever talk about
I don't know
that.
what you're talking about.
Listen, I love that poster.
Have you seen the latest episode or something?
Yeah, I've seen the latest episode. We make breakfast Saturday morning in preparation for Ruby. I just want to let you know.
I think yesterday I woke up and the first thing I did was, all right, I gotta go to Rooster Teeth.
Exactly. But anyways, so I think it's just kind of,
we should be more, trying to get people into our community opposed to like shutting them out and locking the door and throwing the key away.
Exactly, because I think the thing about it is that it needs to be a community for everyone. I mean, because the thing is like, I think that these, ones that shut the new people out, don't remember what it was like to be ostracized, to be picked on. I mean, and I think a lot of it too is that there's a lot of young white men that really,
Why, thank you.
that really were never picked on. They never really were bullied, and so they didn't.
It's that
really,
white privilege.
That white privilege that somehow jumped over me, and so. It was just kind of like, they never actually were picked on because they were still the cool kids because they were white men. So,
She says it grinning through her teeth because they are iron.
But, so I think that's another thing to consider too is that, I think that as geek culture becomes more popularized and more as part of the cool group, there's going to be more bullies who are nerds.
Yeah.
So... Yeah.
That's something that I fear.
But can you really be bullied by someone that you're physically stronger than?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
All it takes is words. You've never been on that. I will use myself as an example. The first few years of going to school, I wasn't picked on by a boy. I was picked on by a girl.
Was it Maya?
No, it wasn't Maya. When I met Maya,
It was high school.
no, junior high.
Oh,
Back in 7th grade, that's when we met.
interesting.
Because I met Mike, and then Mike and I had Texas history together, and we all hung out in the same circle there.
So she was a nerd back then.
Oh yeah, she was a nerd, but she never.
I'm gonna
She's
yell
an
at
adult.
her
She's an
when she
adult.
gets home.
She's an adult, and she'll never admit it.
Go.
No, actually, she's a bit looser about it nowadays. But yeah, I got picked on by a girl the first few years of my life, and
Me too.
as a boy, that's not only jarring but kind of embarrassing. It doesn't bother me now, but
I've locked all kind of memories away and wrapped them in around a chain and then threw them in like an ocean that I will never visit ever again.
you use your pain as a lesson.
That's what the alcohol
So,
is.
you guys, I was reading Lord of the Rings. It was the Fellowship of the Ring, and I was in 7th grade. And this guy, he was in either 8th or 9th grade. He was like too old to be like picking on someone my age. But it was kind of like, dude, you need what? Like, that's kind of creepy. Get off my ass. But it was just like he was about to tear up my book because he was like, this is nerd stuff. Like, you shouldn't even be reading, but like you're reading fantasy, like all this other stuff. He was about to tear up my book. I took one of my science textbooks and I broke his nose.
Nice. That is the best ending to that story that I've ever heard.
Every nerd has a breaking point. I got suspended one day because I was about to be in a fight. Because
I was in a fight and I wasn't suspended.
I was having a really bad day, and it was over at West. I was having a really bad day, and one guy just pushed me too friggin' far. I dropped my books. I was like, motherfucker, let's go.
And Devin has this really intimidating size, and he's always had this deep voice.
I have this intimidating size now.
I've always been
a big
physically
dude.
large.
Wow, thanks. That sounds like you're saying
Wow,
fat.
way to be PC about that.
Devin, you've always been this massive hunk of man, all right?
Whoa. You don't have to
Winks
tell
at camera.
No, but I was done at that point. I had spent the first 6 grades being picked on. I was done with this shit. And puberty hit, so my voice was starting to sound like this.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck this shit, I'm done. And I got suspended for it.
Yeah. I almost got suspended, but then my argument was I was trying to save literature, and they were like, oh, okay.
She's full of shit, but okay.
I was just trying to save the book.
I was afraid he was a neo-Nazi, so I got him. Like,
Don't worry, guys, I got him.
I got
him. It's like a thing from Deadpool. It's like this dad's like physically abusing his family, and Deadpool kicks the door in, starts beating him, and goes, "Being a superhero is fun."
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Yeah, I was very proud of myself. My dad was like, he wanted to be angry, but he was also kind of proud too.
Yeah, my parents weren't pissed about it at all.
Yeah.
It was like, at least you did, you stood up for yourself.
Yeah. Well, when I got into my fight, I didn't get suspended, and the principal was like, "Yeah, let's go to class."
Like, so you guys, I might be a woman of small constitution, but if you get a textbook in my hand, I will beat your ass.
It's got to be like a heavy biology book.
Heavy biology. It has to be a science textbook, or maybe like, I don't know. I was gonna say physics, but I think that's also science.
It needs to be a physics, specifically physics book.
Yeah.
Maybe even a
The
history
the
book.
ridges are much more rigid.
Possibly get away with it with a history book.
Has it have a penguin diving into a pool? Like that's a
Did you hit him with like the spine, or did you hit him with
No,
like,
it was like
the
flat.
Flat
Flat,
front.
you know,
That's how you handle that.
Final first into his nose.
You don't go with the
Did
binding.
he have like the imprint of science on his face?
No, it wasn't a rigid. It was,
Oh,
it was,
damn.
it was a matte kind of cover, but you know.
Yeah, you don't go with the binding. You go straight
Yeah,
from the back.
science, bitch.
Exactly.
See you in fourth period. Wow,
We are the worst.
no. I mean, it all has to do with this type of culture because, I mean, yeah, nerds and geeks are two different things, but all at the end of the day, we're all under kind of the same umbrella. We have this passion for a particular subject matter, and we shouldn't let it, wow, I completely lost train of thought. We shouldn't let ourselves be pushed too hard for enjoying the things that we enjoy, even if it's outside of the norm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think that when you break it all down, being a nerd or a geek is being passionate about something. Like, I like to tell my brother, who's super into fantasy football, you're a nerd. You're basically playing football D&D. Like, with your stats and everything else. So it's just kind of like...
They never see it that way,
They
but that's
never see it.
exactly what it is.
Yeah, and so it's just kind of like you have to
Now wait till the
understand
next time you see him, and he's gonna be dressed up as like a centaur.
Oh, yeah. He's
Playing
gonna be
football.
LARPing, yeah.
That was a jump, but okay.
Yeah,
Well, like,
that's
that's
not what I
the thing.
meant. That's not what I meant, brother.
Okay, so I just mentioned LARPing. So people who wear football jerseys with other people's names, they're LARPing, basically. Like, that's...
Because today I'm Drew Brees.
Yeah.
No, I'm only doing it to get the discount at the store that I'm going to right now. That doesn't count.
And Tom Thumb gives you 10% off for wearing this jersey.
Yeah. So why don't you take it off the moment you get out of the store? No, because I want to wear it.
Cowboy Nation. Shit like that, yeah. Nah,
Is that how chunky is?
no, my brother's actually not that bad. but
Okay.
I feel bad for the Cowboys fans since they're out of the playoffs now. I don't watch sports. I just heard about it. But, I mean, everybody's got those things that they're passionate about. And, yeah, at the end of the day, like Caitlin said, you're a nerd about it.
Yeah.
If you know stats that people normally don't know, you're a nerd about it.
Mm-hmm.
So be open and willing to somebody who may want to get into it. Let them get into it. Because at the end of the day, it's all geek culture.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, it was good having you guys listen. It was good having you guys on. It was good to have our Caitlin back.
Yes.
It's been a minute.
Yep. Good to be back. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Anyway, thanks for being on. We enjoy having you listen. I'm DevTheDoc,
I'm Phil.
And I'm Caitlin.
and we will see you guys next time. Bye.
Goodbye. And goodbye.